Willie, it's been over a year now since IAG purchased Aer Lingus. It was a drawn-out process before the government sold its stake. How has it been for you?
It's been fantastic. We're absolutely delighted to have Aer Lingus as part of IAG. It's delivered everything we thought it could, and in fact it's gone further. So it's been a great success for us, and I'd like to think that people in Aer Lingus and people in Ireland recognise how good it's been for Aer Lingus and how good it's been for Ireland, because we've delivered on all the promises we made.
Yes, certainly we in the Irish Tourist Industry Confederation supported it, and we think it's been a really excellent initiative and move. The airline industry is notoriously volatile and vulnerable to external shocks. We're here in New York in the week that a new president has been elected, and of course back in Ireland the Brexit fallout is raging. How do you see the macroeconomic picture going forward?
I think the general macro environment is okay. It's clearly not as strong as we would have liked. The impact of Brexit has been short-term, and I think there's still a bit of uncertainty there which will drag on for a while. I was in Washington on Tuesday for the election. I watched the results unfold. And
interesting times?
Yeah, it was very interesting. I watched Donald Trump's victory speech, and I think that's the more interesting one to look at, because if he delivers on what he said in that, I think we're looking at a pretty good environment in the United States, and a strong US economy is always good for transatlantic flying.
Absolutely. In terms of Brexit, we in the Irish tourism industry are concerned about the impact of a possible hard Brexit. How do you see that? Because aviation and access and so on is possibly implicated within a hard Brexit.
I think aviation will be okay, because politicians everywhere recognise that you need an effective air transport system to continue trade. And I don't believe it's in anybody's interest to see aviation damaged or restricted or in any way inhibited as a result of the negotiations. So my expectation is that aviation will be okay. The politicians everywhere will want to see airlines continuing to fly, and consumers will demand it. So I'd be very surprised if politicians put at risk what has been a fantastic consumer benefit through the development of an open skies in Europe.
And still a growing sector, of course.
Yeah, there's always demand. And when you look at the success of the low-cost carriers like Ryanair and EasyJet, nobody wants to see those airlines put at risk. Consumers benefit from an open air transport system, and I believe they'll want to see that continue. And I think it would be a very brave politician who would try to put any of that at risk.
Very brave or very stupid politician. The transatlantic routes have been very successful for Aer Lingus, and Dublin is strategically well positioned between the EU bloc and the US. Do you see Dublin as a potential hub going forward?
Definitely, Dublin has fantastic opportunities. The infrastructure there needs to be improved. I don't think it requires massive investment, and it's not actually the second runway that needs to be addressed at the moment. I think a second runway will be important for Dublin in due course. But the opportunity is significant, and it's one of the main reasons why we wanted Aer Lingus as part of IAG, because we see Dublin as an alternative hub, and it's developed well, but we believe it can be developed even further.
And what are your views on the recent announcement about another runway at Heathrow?
I'm pleased that the government has finally stepped up and addressed it, but there's still a long way to go. At this point, all they've done is expressed a preference for a third runway at Heathrow. They have set a number of challenges for the airport to meet. We're actually pleased with the challenges they've set, because I think it's in the interests of consumers that charges are kept at today's level or lower. Nobody wants to see airport charges significantly increase.
Competitiveness is critical in terms of airport charges, and indeed in terms of Irish tourism, competitiveness is important again. And one of the reasons that Irish tourism has improved so much in recent times is because we've kept our competitiveness. Do you think that improvement and that growth in Irish tourism can continue into the future? I
believe Ireland can continue to be competitive. I think it's much more competitive today than it was 10 years ago. It's actually great to visit Ireland. I spent some time in Dublin recently, and we brought a group of people over. We had an IAG board meeting there. They were all very impressed. It is price competitive, much more so than it used to be. There's good value for money, and with the strength of the euro relative to the pound, you can see how that will be an important issue, because we need to continue to make Ireland an attractive destination for UK tourists. But I would say it's a much better environment than it's been, and I hope that continues to be the case.
And in terms of Irish politics, do you have a view on the current Dáil and the current coalition?
I have to be honest, I'm detached from it to some degree. I've no political affiliation, and because I'm no longer resident in Ireland, I don't vote there. But good progress has been made. I think we need to recognise that people have felt a lot of pain, and the progress in terms of the economy hasn't really stretched much further than Dublin. You know, I sense that when I travel around Ireland that they're still waiting to see the benefit of the austerity programme, but we had to go through it. And nobody will be thanked for facing up to these difficult challenges, but it had to be done, and we have to make sure that we don't undo all of the hard work that has been done over the past 5 years.
Indeed. And in terms of Aer Lingus and expansion on the transatlantic route, do you see that continuing going forward? There's 3 new routes in 2016. Any new routes for 2017?
Without question, we will see further expansion. We're likely to announce something in the near future for 2017, and we look again for opportunities beyond 2017. So we think the network that they have today is very good, but we believe it can be expanded, and going forward with the arrival of new aircraft like the Airbus A321LR, I think that will represent a fantastic opportunity for Ireland and for Dublin as a hub. So I think there's a lot of good news to look forward to.
Great. And we're here, of course, in New York for the 54th Annual Ireland-US Council Dinner, where, of course, you'll be presented with a well-deserved award for outstanding achievement. What's that mean for you?
Well, it's great. It's always nice to get these personal awards. It's a great honour for me personally, but I think it does more reflect on the work that we do as a team. And clearly, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the people that work with me at IAG, at British Airways, at Aer Lingus, at Iberia, at Welling. So I get the awards, which is always nice, but the hard work is done by all my colleagues and my friends, and it's great to get this recognition, but I do recognise that it's not just for me, it's for my colleagues as well.
Great. Willie, thank you so much for speaking to the Irish Tourist Industry Confederation, and best of luck going forward.
Thank you very much.